Hello sewing friends, and welcome to my episode of hashtag long sleeves 23. Now this is my first time doing any of these vlog tours, I think they're called, so I hope I get this okay. I know some people are quite seasoned at these things, but for me this is quite new, so I've got some notes. Shannon of the Sewing Warehouse, which is who she is on Instagram, which I will tag below, set this up. She ran it last year as well. She also is the Sewing Warehouse on YouTube, so thank you to Shannon. And oh my goodness, Shannon, you have found some amazing prizes. First prize, UK only for this, the rest of it can be international, but UK only first prize is a Janome overlocker. That's a pretty amazing prize. So if you want to know all the details about the prizes and everything, I'll link Shannon's introductory video below. I'm quite aware that I'm well into the month, so you've probably heard it a lot of times, and if you haven't, and that mine's the only one you've watched, do go and watch some other people's, because people earlier in the month have talked about it all. There's fantastic prizes. There's a whole thing about how some prizes are random, some prizes are going to be voted for. So the key thing is, as I like to say, you've got to be in it to win it. So make sure during the month of October, you've got to do it by the 1st of November, tag hashtag long sleeves 23 and Shannon at the Sewing Warehouse into your photographs of your makes with long sleeves. So over this month, I know that I'm releasing this towards the end of the month, but there's still time, and you might have put a picture up already this month and gone, oh no, I forgot to tag it. Go back and edit it. Then there's a series of voting and winners, and all the runners up get prizes. So there's lots of details, as I say, on other people's channels, particularly Shannon. She did an intro video. But yesterday, Janine Sews did her video, and tomorrow is So Disorganised. So there's a whole series, and again, if you search the hashtag long sleeves 23, you can get lots of inspiration. Now, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you will want inspiration for this weather right now. I am wearing long sleeve underneath my accidental tank top, as I like to call it, and underneath that I've also got my Scirocco jumpsuit on. It's lashing down outside. It's about 11 degrees right now. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere and you're coming into summer, you still might be in spring, or you might not have like the colder weather. You might want this inspiration to sew ready for another season, or it might be that you're in a part of the world where the weather varies like we do, but take part anyway, because I'm sure you can pack it away and wear it when the weather is right for you. And also choose your fabric well, because long sleeves can be suitable right up into quite warm weather if you choose a thin floaty fabric, and obviously thicker fabrics for cooler. So hopefully it's something everybody can do and suits them. You could even make like a cover up from the beach out of long sleeves. So I thought about how I wanted to do this, and because I want to be as conscious a sewer as possible, I wanted this to be part of my autumn winter plans, and also wanted it to be part of things that I've already got. So I'm not buying new patterns. You know, I try to help save you from spending unnecessary money. I do support companies, I do buy things, as you see, but money can be tight. Sewing can be a very expensive hobby, so I'm going to try not to encourage you anywhere more than possible to buy new things. So I've got a range of ideas for you, and they're things that there's some are things I'm genuinely doing, so you'll see my results, and some are just ideas to put out there for you. So let's start with the ideas just to put out there for you. So first of all, almost every pattern that you have that has a short sleeve, you could easily hack that into a long sleeve. Now, I know you might say, oh, that's obvious, but I don't know. You might be a new sewer, you might not be a confident sewer, you might not be a confident hacker like I am, you might be frightened of taking the risk. So you've got two choices of how to do that. If it's a straightforward arm cycle, in that it's a normal sort of shaped one, you could easily try using a different sleeve pattern to try to put in there, because you could just do a gathering stitch on the top to do that easing in. So if you want to cut out a pattern that you know is a long sleeve that works, give that a try. And what you could do is do it with a toile bit of fabric first and just baste it in, because if it's something that you're not sure will work and you don't want to do it with the perfect fabric, toile just the sleeve into the pattern of where you'd got to with it, baste it in. If it works, then you can quickly unpick it and use that pattern on the actual fabric. Or you could, as I say, just to do a gathering stitch and ease it in. The other way to do that is like I do with the myositis. Bear with while I find it. Here we go. So if you watch my Friday sews, you will know I've got a lot of bags with things cut out, and you had to wait till now to get the details. That's not the myositis, that's the Marlow. Is this it? As I say, there's a lot to cut out. Here it is. So the myositis sleeve is a short sleeve pattern. It's quite an interesting shape. If you look at that, a lot of sleeves don't have this sort of kick up at the edge, and the front and back of the sleeve are quite different. In some patterns, the sleeve shaping is the same, but when I put those over each other, they're not the same. And it's not my bad cutting out. They are genuinely different. So on a sleeve like this, I wouldn't want to use a different sleeve pattern, because it is quite, you can see it when you look at it, how it's quite a unique sleeve. The Patina Blouse, I would say, is quite a traditional shape sleeve, and I can use that in a lot of other things, and also put another one in there. But we don't like the myositis. What I do is I lay this on, I measure how much more I need, allowing extra for a hem, and then now I'm a bit of a maverick. I just use my scissors and I go snip, 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 and then I do the same on the other side. I know that will all come out in the wash when I stick it together and when I want it to taper or cuff or whatever. You might want to get a ruler and draw that and draw the line. I like to live on the edge, but it's very doable to take a sleeve like that and extend it. Now, can you see how that slopes? You can then follow that slope, making it more severe, less severe, because depending on how baggy you want the rest of the sleeve. I'm daring you, as part of this long sleeve challenge, is to try out different long sleeves, and again, use some toile fabric into the bit you've already made, or make a toile top. Try out one with a big gather, try it with a cuff, try it with elastic, try it different ways. Have a look at other patterns you've got and have a go at what you want to do, and then hack a pattern that you like. So for example, in myositis, hack a sleeve, suddenly you've made a long sleeve. Same as the patina, it does come with a long sleeve option, I think. Yes, it does, but I'd cut out the short sleeve, so I just hack it into a long sleeve. I did, if you watch my Patina Blouse like whole review video, I made 8 different ones. I did various different cuff endings. Great thing about long sleeves, play with it. You could do in a little channel and have an elasticated bit. You could have a sheared part or shirred. You could just have like a little cuff. You could do like a little button part. I think the Patina has that in their pattern. You could just do a cuffing with the fabric at the end and let it billow down. Lots of things. Use some of that fabric you're not going to use some of that fabric that you've got a leftover bit. Try out a sleeve. You also know I'm into details at the moment, so why not look up how to take a sleeve pattern you like, cut it and splay it to make it more poofy. Rosary Apparel, she has, I'm just trying to get a bit more light on me here. Rosary Apparel, she has a great set, oh that's better isn't it, a great set of sleeves that you can just print out that create a bigger or smaller puff, and whether you put elastic. Now they're short sleeves, but you can extend them. Simplicity have a pattern pack you can buy which is just sleeves. There's lots of YouTube videos about how to make like a leg of mutton sleeve or a bishop sleeve. So go to a charity shop, find a pattern with just a sleeve you like in it, and then have a go at taking the top of the sleeve of the dress or top that you're making and try out another sleeve in there. The Marnie, if you've got it, has a great sleeve. Why not use that sleeve in another one? Some of them have frills. There's no reason to not incorporate a frill into something else. So you can definitely elevate the details by mixing and matching bits from other patterns or just taking a risk. Other ideas for you that I'm not specifically doing at the moment is upcycle your scraps into a quilted jacket. I'll put mine here, long sleeve. You could use the free pattern I'm going to talk about in a minute for this. You could use a pattern you've got. You could have a go at coming up with one, tracing around a pattern you've got. I love doing that because I had a lot of lovely fat quarters that I didn't know what to do with, but absolutely adored them. Well, now I get to wear them and enjoy it. So that's definitely something worth thinking about for your long sleeved option, and can look pretty impressive. I sewed all mine up using my overlocker, and then like the joins on the inside, and then just binding around the visible edges. Apart from the quilting bit, it was a quick sew at the end. And if you want an idea for a pattern that I found in a charity shop, in my Friday sews, I found this amazing pattern that was 40 years old with like a ruffle all down the placket at the front. So have a go at just trying something different or something creative to do your sleeve challenge, because remember that the big prize is going to be voted for, so you could try and really elevate something with an extra little hack or something like that. I'm just having a look, see if there's anything else. Right, so that's all my things to think about. Now let's talk about what I'm doing and how I might elevate those. So in my Friday sews, I showed all these packs of things that I've cut out and said you'd have to wait for the details today. So here we go. So number one is a fabric that I got from Adele of Sofa Serenity when she did a D-stash. It's incredibly soft and amazing colour. So I've cut it out as a myositis dress. 3 things I've done to make this work for this time of year. 1, as I just mentioned, lengthen the sleeve. 2, lengthen the skirt to a length that works for me. I probably done about 6 inches extra on the skirt because it's not a flattering length for me otherwise. And 3, I lengthen the bodice. Liz talks about this. I think she does a whole video about, Liz the Baker that sews does a whole vlog about the myositis dress. But how will I elevate it more? Well, if you know the myositis, it has like a stand-up collar. You can leave that off. Somebody's shown how to do it facing. I'm thinking of being inspired by the Laura Ashley vintage pattern I saw in a charity shop the other day and trying to do like a little stand-up ruffle around the collar. So that will be, when I'm thinking about details, little ruffle round there, and I'm going to think about how I finish the sleeve and what I use for buttons. I find with the myositis, I don't need to have real working buttons. It can go over my head. So Hayley Jane talks about that in her vlog about the myositis. So what could I do to make it interesting on the front? So that's my first one. Next one is a Patina Blouse hack. If you want to know lots of details about how I hack it into a dress, watch my specific Patina Blouse hack one, but I'm doing some other things here. So I'm using this gorgeous fabric that I got from JB Fabrics. Look at that. It's like autumn in a fabric. So the Patina Blouse has a double yoke at the back. So along the join between the yoke and the rest of the back fabric, I'm going to put some orange piping, which I think I'm going to create out of bias binding, because I think a line of orange in a join would be a great detail. And then on the front, what I've done is taken the front piece and split it into 2. So it's like a pretend yoke at the front, and then I'm going to put the piping where the join is. Now to do that, you need to remember that if you're going to split a pattern piece, you need to have an overlap so that when you stitch it back together, you haven't made it shorter. So you need to allow a seam allowance on each of the pieces for when you stitch it back together. So you could snip through it and then add a bit on, or do what I did and I folded it and then cut extra, and then did the other part and cut extra. Do whatever works for you. As I said, I'm a bit of a maverick. I don't use a ruler. I'm I'm sure you'll probably want to be more precise than me about it. But that means I can have the piping across here as well. So it'd be here and across the yoke at the back. That elevates it already. I'm doing the long sleeve. I may do a ruffle here, not decided yet till I start constructing that. I've done a 3-tier to the hacked on skirt. I've cut a lot of fabric out. There's going to be a lot of gathering, but I think it's going to be amazing. And again, I don't need real buttons on the patina. It goes over my head. I have to be careful about my dignity. But I will just sew some fake buttons on. If you want lots more about, if you're thinking, oh, I like the sound of this, go and watch that specific video. But this is going to be a pretty amazing dress version. Oh, look at the way that's blown out. Pretty amazing dress version of that. Wow, okay, it's blown that right out. Okay, so that's plan number 2. I've got a lot to do. Number 3, oh, this is going to be weird. Let's have a look at this. Oh, hang on, it's this fabric here. This was meant to be a jumper. If you haven't heard about that, watch episode 41 where I talk about that. But I like it, but I wanted a jumper. So I'm enjoying having this short sleeve tank top. I'm going to make a jumper with it as well. Once you've sewn a few things like this, you can mostly just sort of do a little bit of a sort of makeshift, make it up as you go along type thing. So this is sort of a bodice of something that worked, a sleeve pattern. I'm not following any specific pattern for this. I'm just sort of hacketing things as I go. I've cut out bits to make a cuff for the sleeve. No, that's the neckband one. Down there. And the great thing is, because it's stretchy, you can stretch it to fit a bit more, or it's a bit more forgiving. I've done a cuff for the end, although I might use a different bit. I think this is I want to say that's the cuff for the end, what I've cut out there, but oh, hang on. Yeah, no, that's perfect, look. And I've done it quite a long cuff as well. I do like a long cuff. I think it makes things more interesting. So yeah, so there'll be a cuff on the end there. Might change the cuff to a different one if I fancy like a bit of contrast. So for that, my advice would be, you've probably sewn a jumper pattern before and you could change the neck. You might have a jumper that you like that you could trace round and use that. Play with what you've got and see, because generally with a jersey, with a jumper, it's a little bit oversized. It'll forgive you if you do a little extra change or something, or like this where I ended up having to do a visible seam. It's all come out in the wash. Right, next is the Payload Jacket, which is a free pattern by the Fabric Store. So you can download the printable pattern. I did the print at home. You can do copy shop as well. I know, shocking. I printed it at home and stuck it together. I've already made one version which I made shorter, and I made it into like a fluffy black Sherpa fabric that I got off the swaps table. This one I'm making the full length. There is actually 2 pockets, a lower put your hand in pocket and like a little upper pocket. Haven't decided what I'm going to do about pockets yet. It has like an interfacing around like underneath the facing, and then a collar that's got a top and a bottom. So I've done it. That's the worst explanation, I'm so sorry. So what I've done is done the top collar in the pink corduroy, and then I'm going to do the under piece in a contrasting fabric, so as the collar lifts up you see a bit of interest. Remember what I said about details? I've cut out the front, and you need to, with corduroy, make sure you get the nap the right way. I spent a lot of time stroking it, trying to work it out, and ended up holding it up. Fingers crossed I've got it right. I did try to think about it and thought about the direction of the sleeve as well, because do you want the cord going that way or that way? So be mindful of that. This is like a baby cord, and it's actually stretchy as well. I got this from Abercorn in the summer when I went to the actual shop while I was on holiday in Wales. Now I made a mistake. I cut the back not on the fold, so it's 2 separate pieces. But don't worry, never fear. First of all, it's a bit stretchy, so I think if I join it together I'd have lost about a centimetre or two, depending on how generous a seam I do. It is stretchy, so it shouldn't be too restrictive on the back. But worst case, I could create a panel piece that stitches the two bits together, makes like an interesting bit to the back. So when I've made it, I'll come back, I'll show you how I solved it. But I'm not going to sack them off and cut it again, because I think I can solve it. I have cut out the sleeves. I haven't thought yet. No, I have thought. What I'm hoping to do on the inside of the sleeve is do the same fabric as on under the collar, so that I could roll it up, and then you'd have like a nice different fabric on show when I roll it. And I will want a couple of buttons, not many, because it's sort of a jacket. Now the design is actually a straight bottom. I'm probably going to curve it. I'm going to put a picture in here of a denim jacket I wear a lot. It's a vintage one that I got. And it's such a relaxed fit. I love it. So I want to try and replicate this in this. A pink corduroy sort of oversized jacket. I can't wait. And free pattern. So just dig around in your stash, have a go, because you might create something. You could do different pockets, who knows. And imagine if you had some bits of like cotton twill or corduroy and you created like a block one. The new Tilly in the Buttons jacket pattern does block. You could do that with the Payload Jacket, and it's really easy to shorten. I just folded a bit up, and there's plenty of pictures on Instagram for it as well. I was talking about that in my Friday sews. I know a lot of people do it, but if you don't, go to Instagram, search hashtag like Payload Jacket, and get some inspo from other people. One lady did this amazing scrap bias binding. It looked beautiful, and that's how she edged her whole Payload Jacket. So you can just get great inspiration that sometimes we just need. There's more. Right, the Marlowe, I've cut it out. I've cut the short version out. People say it's really oversized, so I'm a bit scared. I've gone for the 2. Worst case, it's wrong, but I'm sure I can fix it somehow. I'm putting pictures in here of some trials I've done. I've seen some amazing sort of like sweatshirty applique, and it creates like a nice effect. So I'm going to do that on the arms and possibly on the pocket. So there's some pictures in here of my trials. I can't wait to show you how this works out. It's a gorgeous purple. So that's a very me colour. We've got that with the green, yeah, and there. But I want to again elevate it with some details. It looks like a lovely pattern. I love seeing people's Marlowe things. Jess of So What If I Sews has just done a Marlowe pattern collab with somebody. She's done, I think, the slightly longer one, but it's a really nice looking cardigan. And I think I can't remember the lady's name, but she did a lovely video, I'll put the link in, about how to try and get it out of 1 metre as well. That was some really great tips. That's trousers, we've talked about those. So is that all of my long sleeve plans, I tell you? Let's have a check. Oh, it says Patina jumper, free jumper packet, jacket pattern, vintage blouse. Whew. That is it. I've already sewn 1 Westcliff dress this month, which I'm delighted with. There will be another one, but I will talk to you about it soon, with some stretch velvet floral. So that might come. I've got a lot to do. It's the 21st today, isn't it? I better get sewing. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you the results. I'm sure I might not get all of these done by the end of the month, but I wanted to give you some info. I wanted to show you. You've seen a lot of those fabrics when I did my autumn winters part 1 and part 2 plan. So I hope that you're enjoying seeing what's happening to them. I will be back soon. I am doing Sew Upcycle as well. Thank you to Shannon of the Sewing Warehouse for organising this, and my goodness, what amazing prizes. I can't wait to see everybody's long sleeve results. Do follow the hashtag on Instagram and you can see what everyone else is getting up to. There's some really great long sleeve sewing going on, and do let me know your plans as well, what you're going to sew up for long sleeves. I think people were almost in a way desperate for autumn to come so they could enjoy the long sleeves. Well, it's definitely here now. Have a great rest of the weekend, and I will see you soon.